Hey guys, what's good? This is the June 2026 edition of Shane's Las Vegas Raiders podcast. Really not much to touch up on here. I'm just coming because I said I'll be doing one of these per month. I'll be updating what's happened in the previous month, which there's just really not much. We're in mandatory OTAs right now. So, there's guys have been training the last couple months. They've been in non-mandatory camp. Now it's a mandatory OTA. Brandon Johnson was signed to the team, wide receiver. Excuse me. And he previously, man, something here in Florida. He was previously with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Denver Broncos. He has a very minimal career. He was an undrafted signing in 2022, so he's only been in the league a couple of years. I think he's only played in like 23 games, but maybe this is somebody that's going to be, an option at fifth receiver. I don't see it. I think they have all the spots filled, more or less just another competitive body that, is upgrading their camp roster right now, but nobody that's actually going to make the team. I know Jermod McCoy and Nakobe Dean are not in the mandatory OTAs. They haven't been seen. Knee management on McCoy by the Raiders. They just want to, I guess, take it easy on him coming off of surgery for his tear last year. And then Nakobe Dean, there's no real update. Like they asked Coach Clint Kubiak. He just said he really doesn't want to talk about any injuries and, off-season camps. He says as long as guys are ready for regular training camp. So I'm sure something happened to Nakobe along the way, since he's been working out, and probably nothing major. So I'm sure he'll be ready by July, which is when real training camp is going to start for the Raiders, mid-July. So, Fernando Mendoza still isn't signed to his rookie contract yet, but should be coming soon. He's been in camp. He's been working hard. He's been looking good. But if you listen to, the beat writers, pretty much everybody looks good in camp. And then it comes down to, who actually performs against the opposition in real NFL regular season games, how they do there, not as much as how you're looking in a training camp or, so I expect Fernando Mendoza to be the starter. I've stated this on previous episodes. I expect him to beat out Kirk Cousins. I expect him to start game one against the Dolphins in Las Vegas. We'll see what happens, guys. I mean, the way I look at it is if Fernando isn't starting, it's really because he's not ready, because in some way, it could be whatever. It could be mentally, whatever, but he wasn't ready. It's not going to be because they're just starting Kirk Cousins because they want Fernando to sit a little bit and learn. The Raiders have already made it clear that the best at each position is going to play. Like it's at any position on the team is going to play. It has nothing to do with a guy being a rookie, a guy being in his 10th year or whatever. And there ain't many 10-year players on this team, if any, to be honest with you, because we have one of the youngest teams in the league here with the Las Vegas Raiders. But I expected good things last year, and it didn't happen. Geno Smith was, turning over the ball at a high pace and taking too many sacks, and there was other injuries. Bowers got hurt, and things just didn't go right. They traded Jacoby Myers, and Crosby got hurt, and when you have some of your best players getting hurt, and then you have Geno Smith who you expected to do better, maybe not top tier, but you expect him to do much better, and he just didn't do it, and he was really just helping the other team win games. And in reality, in hindsight, it's like, well, hey, if the Raiders won one more game in 2025, they would have not had Fernando Mendoza on this roster. He would have been a New York Jet right now. Well, that's true, and that may just be the way that the cookie crumbled in the Raiders' favor. So Fernando Mendoza, I believe, is going to be a great quarterback. I just believe he's got all the intangibles. He's got, just not just physically, but mentally also. I mean, and that's so important, man, to just have that that edge mentally that you're better than the opposition, that you're gonna win this play. You know what I'm saying? There's just nothing in that kid's head, I don't think, that's negative. I think he's got everything in a positive focus in that kid's head. Everything is positive. It's always about winning, and it's always about, getting it done. And I just think that that's huge. On top of, he's got the arm talent, he's got good running ability, he's got, good accuracy ability in terms of getting the ball to his receivers or running backs, tight ends, whoever he's throwing to. And look, guys, I think Kirk Cousins is a good backup, right? I mean, a very good backup. And shit, Aiden O'Connell, if he stays on this roster, I've always liked O'Connell. Like, I mean, he may not be perfect, but I mean, with what he was working with, he doesn't make too many mistakes, and he's still a young guy. He's only been in the league a few years, so if you keep Aiden on the roster too, I mean, you got two, upper end backups, in case something, God forbid, happened to Mendoza. But again, you're talking to somebody that's expecting Mendoza, again, to win the starting job this training camp and beat Kirk Cousins and start game one for the Raiders. And guys, I think this team is, really, really improved. Like, every year it's like you kind of see a signing here, a signing there, and it's like, like Christian Wilkins, of course, a couple of years ago, that just didn't work out. I was so pumped and excited at the time about getting Christian Wilkins and pairing him next to Max Crosby. And then to just see, this guy played a few games in his 1 year with the Raiders, and then he gets released, and, because of kissing a player on the head that didn't want to be kissed on the head and didn't like it. And the Raiders just knew they could get out of that contract too. And it was a combination of things. And then looking at Wilkins is now, possibly being a guy who just doesn't see the field, and nobody's picked him up yet, so there's got to be something to it why nobody, even on the cheap, has signed Christian Wilkins. And there's those couple of signings every year, but man, they brought in some really high-end quality players this offseason, and to do that, you have to have money, and the Raiders had the most money going into day one of free agency, bringing in Linderbaum from the Ravens, and Dean from the Eagles, and Quay Walker from the Packers, and just Kwity Paye from the Colts, just bringing in high-end guys. I just think, the offensive line, I think, got, they didn't get a fair deal last year because there was a lot of injuries to the offensive line. Colton Miller right off the bat. Powers Johnson got hurt. There was always guys missing games. So you put those two guys back in with Linderbaum, and then I think Buford has a good chance, they're saying, at a starting position. I don't know. I kind of think Powers Johnson at one guard, Rodgers at the other guard, but we'll see what happens. Some people have Buford penciled in as the starting left guard, I believe, and JPJ at right guard, and then DJ Glaze still at right tackle, even though he's expected to get some competition from Charles Grant. So, look, I could sit here and dissect every position. I'm just not going to do that. I just want to update what's been going on in the last month, and there's just not that much. I mean, these guys have been working hard. Guys have been showing up even for the non-mandatory camps. Like, pretty much, I think everybody was there, to be honest with you. I think they were all showing up. I don't remember anybody not showing up even for the non-mandatory camps. So, I mean, they got players that are, have the right focus to want to be great. And that's step one, the commitment in the off season when you don't even have to be there, and you're there, you're in the weight room, you want to be around your teammates, you miss the game, that's building a bond, and then, carry it over, man. And this team is a lot more talented than they've been in a long time. Between the signings and free agency, what's coming back on the roster, the draft, there's just a lot of talent on this team, 1 through 53, and I try to find some optimism every year, and this year I really am super optimistic about this team being good, And oh, but they're in the AFC West, and who gives a shit? We beat, look, at the last game of the season against Kansas City, I mean, they had guys out, we had guys out. Doesn't really mean anything, I mean, really, I mean, the best players weren't on the field, but they were very competitive with the Broncos both times last year. And from what I remember, I think they were both low-scoring games. And then the Chargers, I think, from what I remember, those were competitive games also, I think, both. I might be wrong. Maybe one was a blowout. It doesn't matter. Those rosters that have gotten worse. They've technically gotten worse, these other teams, while the Raiders have gotten a lot better. And I could see a takeover. I think Fernando Mendoza, I just think he's going to be good off the bat. I think he's going to be top of the line off the bat. Like I said, I think mental-wise, confidence-wise, he's there, man. He's already there, and it's a special gift. Not everybody has it, and he's ready for the moment. And so he's got the mindset already of a veteran, not of a NFL rookie. You get what I'm saying? So I think the Raiders are going to come in, of course, barring major injuries, like several injuries to key players and shit like that. I think they got a chance to be really good and be a playoff team. And then, you know what? I'm not going to say, I'm going to guarantee a Super Bowl championship, but I'll tell you what, you get to the playoffs and then you have a chance. That's it. That's any team. So, and I think they have a really good chance to make the playoffs. I'm not going to guarantee playoffs either because, guarantee things can happen. But I will say, minus several, it would have to take several key injuries to starting players, I do think they will be a playoff team, and I do think that they have a really good chance to beat anybody. I like this roster a lot. Now I'm not being a homer. I'm just, and I am a Raider fan, but I'm just saying. And the thing is, guys, no analysts, or very few, are going to give the Raiders any kind of credit or any kind of optimism for being good this year until they actually show it. This isn't like, I don't really take it as an insult when I see people saying, I expect the Raiders to win 5 games this year. I don't take that as a slap in the face, because you're going by the previous year before, who finished good and this and that. And they're going off of those, so the Chiefs, the thing is, though, I do have a problem. I do see the Chiefs as being like a top team again. A lot of picks. A lot of people are picking the Chiefs and the Ravens, and both of those teams don't look like shit. I mean, the Ravens made the playoff, right? But the Chiefs didn't. And I think both rosters got worse. And you're picking, these analysts are picking these teams for being top tier AFC. But a lot of these teams, you're going by the year before, who had, a better record from the year before. So some of these teams that are being picked ahead of the Raiders, that's just the way that the media is until the Raiders show it. And I think they're going to show it finally. And the media is going to have to go back on the Raiders side, because the evidence, the performance is going to be inevitable of this team getting a lot better. And the media, despite their hate of the silver and black color, is going to have to get back on the Raiders side and start picking them to win games, because they're going to be taking over this league, man. This, I could see it. I mean, this roster has been in the process of being developed the last couple of years, through the draft, and it continues. And, getting Bowers in here, and Genty, and Powers Johnson, and Caleb Rogers, DJ Glaze, to now Mendoza, and, Washington, and they've just, Beck, where I think this kid is going to be good. Also, I think Jack Beck, the receiver, I think he's gonna step up this year. Trey Tucker, he's gotten better every year, so I expect him to be good. And they're going to have a good receiving corps. Now, they still have the option. They could go out and they could grab Stephon Diggs, which I don't think they're going to do. I think they have enough receivers on the roster that they feel are solid, quality receivers. And when you have an A-list receiver / tight end in Brock Bowers, and you have Ashton Genty, who can run and catch the ball, drafting Washington behind Genty also, and then Michael Mayer's still there. They could run 2 tight end sets. I mean, there's a lot of talent on this offense, man. So obviously they need the upgraded quarterback and offensive line the most. Bring in Linderbaum, Mendoza, and even Kirk Cousins. That really upgrades those positions. Guys, I could sit here and talk all day. I could dissect every single position and every single player, and I'm just not going to do that. Again, I wanted to just give an update. One signing has occurred in the last month. In camp, nothing really major to report. Thank God, no big injuries. Want to keep everybody healthy. Don't want to see any injuries. So, guys, I'll be back in July with another episode, and I'll see you then.